All right, everybody, welcome into the High Noon Rant. I'm Pugs Moran. We do this every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Been doing it since 2021. What is it? It's a rundown of all the day's current events, hot topics, headlines, whatever it is they're screaming about on the TV box, like the one right behind me. I'm going to opine for just a few about each and every subject. The show is not political. So if you're coming for Biden sucks, Trump, that's not what this show is. As I like to say, this is an attempt to do a show for everybody else. That's what I heard. I heard Bill Maher recently. By the way, we're going to talk about Bill Maher. Bill Maher versus Bill Burr coming up on today's show. We'll talk about that whole situation. I have thoughts. Bill Maher recently referred to himself and his show as a show for the normal people, neither left or right or whatever. And I thought, okay, that's pretty good. But that is exactly what we're trying to do here. This show every day is targeted to people who, as I like to say, have never been forcibly removed from an airplane. Okay. If you have never been dragged off an airplane, this show is for you. Okay. If you've never been arrested in a Target for punching somebody, if you have never been arrested, I'm not saying you've never been arrested, and I'm not saying punching somebody, but if in a Target, those two things, if you have punched people in a Target, and I guess I should say not just Target, Walmart, wherever it is, if you're in a store and you can't behave yourself, this show isn't for you. Okay. And if you're no longer invited to Thanksgiving because, they can't handle your bullshit anymore, this show is not for you. This show is for everybody else. 70% of America, I believe, are basically like us. There's 15% whack jobs on the right. There's 15% whack jobs on the left. And the rest of us, the 70% of us, we're all some shade of blue or red or orange or magenta or whatever you want to call it. And we are the ones that need to save this fucking country, not these nutbags who just cannot be reasonable. All right, that's who the show is for, and that's what the show is. How does the show play out? That's the next thing I'll answer. 4 quarters, like a football game. I break the entire day's relevance down into 4 quarters. First quarter, we call it antecedently on this day. Just a fancy way of saying this day in history. I go through, I cherry pick a couple of items from history, from other episodes of May. What is it? May the 14th. Should probably know the date. Kind of the point. You should know the date. It's my co-host, schizophrenic me. He hasn't been around in a while, but sometimes he shows up. He's the voice in my head that tells me my entire life that everything I'm doing is stupid and that I should give up. That's me. Yeah, that's him. Second quarter, birthdays. You know what that is. We won't waste any time. It's people having birthdays. Are they cool or not? That's what we decide. Moving on. Quarter 3 is the deads. These are the people who've died on this day. These are the people who've died. Shout out James Carroll. This is where we take a look at people who passed away on this day and we decide heaven or hell. Where'd they go? What do we know about them? What do we know about their history? What did they do while they were here? Heaven or hell. That's fun. We stand in judgment. Those are the first 3 quarters. Those things, trust me, they go by pretty quick, about 40 minutes. And then we're into everything else. Quarter 4, that's where the rubber hits the road. It's the meat and potatoes of this show. It's everything that you need to know that is happening today. And when I say everything you need to know, through my filter, this is all you need to know. I'm just going to give you the stuff that you just need to know. Okay? Everything else, stop it. Ugh. Again, you want politics. We're going to talk Trump trial, but we're not going to spend much time on it. You want stuff like that. You want breakdowns of all of these ugly, divisive issues that are being forced down our throats. There are plenty of places you can go. Might I suggest AM talk radio because they don't want me. They don't want us. I'm trying to prove that we exist. By the way, this show does run on your gratuities. You will see down there at the bottom of the screen. If you want to support this kind of talk radio, going strong, growing, not strong. We're not strong. We'd like to get strong. We're going. We are going. We are grinding since 2021. Couldn't be happier about that. 3 years of this every day, Monday through Friday. The show runs on your gratuities, your tips, your support. If you feel so compelled during any moment of the show, that's going to be up there from time to time, the Cash App and the Venmo. That's where we like to take our money. That's where we like to get it. Every day we have an executive producer of the show, but we just came off Pledge Week and everybody dug deep and we didn't get to the goal, but that's okay. We got close enough. We're going to limp on through. But every day we like to award an executive producer. I haven't had one in a couple of days. That's because of tip week. I get it. That's fine. That's fine. We'll be good. But maybe tomorrow we'll have an executive producer. I don't know. We shall see. Moving on. Let's see. What else do I have to tell you about? I had an event this morning, 7:30 a.m. Oh, my God. My face is magenta? What do you mean? Is it like because like the computer's cameras jacked up, or do I look like I'm having a stroke? Which one? Because if my face is magenta, that may just be from all of the sun I've been getting recently. Doing a lot of dog walking around this neighborhood, which brings me to the incident that occurred this morning about 7:45. I thought I was going to be dead in an alley in Highland Park. So I'm walking the dog. I wake up 7:45. I have to either go before the kids walk to school or after the kids walk to school, because if I go during the kids walking to school, the dog goes nuts. She doesn't want to kill them, although I got to be honest, that is a slight fear that I have with this animal. She's a beast. But she wants to play with them. She wants to follow them. She wants to smell them, and she wants to jump on them, and it's just nuts. It's just nuts. So we have to go at specific times. So this morning, we're out there about 7:45 this morning. Beautiful morning in Highland Park. Oh, I can hear right across. I'm right on Golf Drive. Right across the hedges is right there to Dallas Country Club. I can hear the early morning golfers. I can hear the landscapers unloading that heavy, bulky lawn equipment from the back of their white pickup trucks. Gonk, 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 gonk. Other than that, it's a peaceful, beautiful morning. I walk around a corner. I think, you know what? I'm going to give the dog a treat. We're going to go down the alley, because I know the dog thinks the alley is a treat, because there's all kinds of shit smells in the alley. And if you've got a dog, you know that dogs love shit smells. Sure, they like their nice, pristine lawns, but they really love a good alley tour. So I decided I'm going to go around the corner here. I'm going to take the dog down the alley at 7:45. 7:45, I come around the alley, and I am greeted by another dog. This dog looked to be a German Shepherd breed of some kind, not a full-born German Shepherd, but, you know, a mutato. I don't know. What do you call a mutt? They're a mutt. You call them a mutt. Okay. So it's like a mixed breed mutt. But I will tell you this. It ain't a cockapoo. Okay. It ain't a Chihuahua. It ain't a purse dog. It's a real dog. And it's, you know, if I got to be honest, you know, I think my dog would have whipped its ass, but I'm just saying I didn't need that at 7:45 in the morning. It looked like a dog that you wouldn't trifle with. If you're robbing houses and you broke in and this dog was there, you'd be like, okay, we're going to leave. But again, not a crazy pit bull or anything, but a dog that looked like it was pissed and could do some damage. Now, this dog greets us as we turn the corner into the alley. My dog is going absolutely nuts. And I'm trying to control her. I've told you, my dog is a Catahoula bulldog, known as a hooly bully. She is about 75 pounds of raw muscle. She is just an absolute athlete. And she is I had a husky Timberwolf mix. This is the strongest dog I've ever had to try and hold down. So we come around the corner. We're hearing the barking. It's right there. It's right in front of us. Is this an invisible dog? Is this does Xander, who's the doctor from the mutant movies, Dr. X, does he live in this neighborhood? There's a lot of big ass mansions in this neighborhood. Do they have mutant invisible dogs in this neighborhood? Because I can't find the dog, and my dog is going nuts, and the dog is right on top of us, and I can't figure it out. I look up. The dog is on the roof of the garage. The dog has apparently gone through a window in the beautiful Highland Park mansion. It has climbed down the tiles of the roof of the mansion and has somehow jumped. I don't know, maybe it's like a walkway of about 2 feet, has jumped now onto the garage. And we are in the alley. Now it's different, right? You can think, oh, Pugs, was he on a balcony or something? No, this dog had escaped its enclosure at 7:45 and was up right on top of us. That's why I didn't see him. And and the dog is going nuts. And then suddenly I see him, and the dog is on the edge of the roof, the garage roof, but with paws in the gutters, like he's going to jump down on us. Oh, so what do you do? What did I do? I don't know. Well, I started to have a heart attack. That's what I did first. That was the first thing. But then somehow I got past that, and I had to pick up my 75-pound dog because I didn't know if this other dog was going to jump. And then I had this thought. That other dog jumps, and I'm holding my dog. What's going to happen? First of all, my dog is not going to be at an advantage being held by me, and she's going to go nuts, and she's going to tear me apart trying to get down. I mean, seriously, what do you do? I mean, you want to know what I do in this situation? If it's a deal like that, I just put my dog down and I go for it, girl. This is animal business. You guys go for it. Settle it amongst yourselves, because I'm not going to get torn apart by some stray dog or torn apart by my own dog, who I know could tear me apart, right? Accidentally, in defense of me or whatever. So that's how my morning started. It was hella scary, boy. So eventually what happened was the dog on the roof was too much of a pussy and didn't want to jump down. Thankfully, she stayed up there. It stayed up there. And then we ran ass down, dragging my dog. My dog has to be double leashed. She's got 2 leashes because she's got to have a choker collar, which is like really tight, isn't it? And what happens to bad girls? They get tight collars. Sorry, I'm talking to her. She's right there. So the choker collar is really tight because she can't be controlled when she sees another dog. And then she has to wear a harness. And I just hope all the other dogs in the neighborhood make fun of you for the harness, because the harness is because her body needs to be controlled. As I said, she's 75 pounds of raw muscle. She is impossible to control. So that's how my morning started. And honestly, I can't be mad at her. I can't be mad at my dog. My dog didn't do anything wrong. She was getting a treat. She was getting an alley tour. All the shit smells. She loves it. She was just getting a treat, and her treat was ruined by some poor dog owner who allowed their dog to get out. I don't know what's going on with that dog. That dog, those people could have gone to work at 7 o'clock, and that dog could have escaped at like 7. That dog could still be on the roof, just hanging out. I don't know. I'll find out. I'll let you know tomorrow, because I'm going to go back around by that house. I'm going to go. Yeah, that's right. We're going to go back. We're going to go back after the show on the next dog walk. All right, there you go. That's basically my morning. I hope yours was good. Let's say hi to the chat room, friends. We've got Jeff Ballard. We've got Byron Granger. Hi, why am I saying everybody's name? We got Sally, Mama B. Barney's here. Of course he is. Mama B says I look fine. Byron says I looked magenta. I'm a normal. I'm the normal shade of gray. I'm the normal shade of decrepit. Okay, let's get started. It is the High Noon Rant. I am Pugs Moran. Welcome to the show. It is May 14th. Did you know May 14th is in fact the 135th day of the year. That means 231 more of these until New Year's Eve. Let's get started with quarter one of today's show. We like to call this Antecedently on This Day. Really, it's just a fancy name for this day in history. Antecedently on this day in 1804. Some American history here. Antecedently on this day in 1804, William Clark and 42 other men depart from Camp du Bois to join Meriwether Lewis at St. Charles, Missouri, marking the beginning of the Lewis and Clark expedition, their historic journey up the Mississippi River. All right, Lewis and Clark, let's talk about these two knuckleheads. They're fine. They're fine. You know what they are? They're better than Columbus. Columbus was... Here's why Lewis and Clark are more important than Columbus. Columbus got lucky. We all know this. Columbus thought he was going one place. He ended up another. He made a wrong turn. He dick tripped into like history's greatest discovery, the New World. It was a total accident. He doesn't get credit. Columbus is a D-bag. Lewis and Clark were different. Lewis and Clark, the entire point of their thing was, let's go get lost. Let's go get lost and see where we come out the other side. Lewis and Clark. There you go. There you go. That's my rant on Lewis and Clark. They intentionally got lost. At least they were honest about it. They're like, we're going out there to see what's out there. We don't know what's out there. Could be monsters. Could be the edge of the world. We don't know. We're heading out there, though. We're taking a bunch of hot Indian chicks. And they did. Who did they take? Pocahontas or Sacagawea? Which one? I get them confused. Sorry, I'm not up on my Indian princesses. My kidnapped Indian princesses. I don't know. They had one of them, though. And I think she was hooking up with somebody. Anyway, moving on. Antecedently on this day in 1878, the last witchcraft trial is held in the United States. It begins where else? Salem, Massachusetts. Boy, they held on to that. It was a tourist thing for the last 100 years, but, you know, they held on to it. On this day, what happened? What'd she do? The trial was for Lucretia Brown. She was an adherent of Christian Science, and she accused Daniel Spofford of attempting to harm her through his mental powers. All right. There you go. Last one. Was that one so stupid that they went, why are we still doing this? This is dumb. I don't know. But it was on this day, 1878, the last witch trial in America. Think about that. 1878, man. 1878, like Lincoln was already shot. Like we had railroads and stuff, and they're probably working on cars. 1878, they're still doing witch trials in an American city. What? All right, moving on. Antecedently, on this day in, let's jump ahead, shall we? 1939, Lena Medina. Oh my God, this story. I talk about the story every year. I don't know if you were here last year, but this one almost made me vomit on the air. It is such a disturbing story and so weird. On this day in 1939, Lena Medina becomes the youngest confirmed mother in medical history. She was 5 years old. Oh! Okay. So this is down in Peru where these things happen. I don't know if these things happen. South America, a lot of South America, Africa, like the Middle East, South Africa. Yeah, South America, Africa, Middle East, Southeast Asia. All right, Eastern Europe. Okay, there's a lot of places on the globe we're finding out. It's not just South America, but rare is it that this kind of story would come out of Utah or Columbus Ohio, something like that. Point is this: she was 5 years old. She was in Peru, and her parents thought she was getting fat and she had stomach pain, so they took her to the doctor. And the doctor confirmed that she was pregnant. She was 7 months pregnant when she was brought in. At 5 years old, she had a thing called what's it called? Hyper, not hyper. It's a weird. I'm gonna click on it. Hold on. What is that term? Maybe if I clicked on her name, it'll say what she had. But she has some extremely rare medical condition where she had her first period at like 4 months old. She had, that's it, precocious puberty. She suffered a condition called precocious puberty, which is where you go through puberty like super early. She said she 6 months old. She had her first period at 6 months old. Holy crap. Okay, that's all fine. That's the science of it. So because the first thing is you wonder, how does a 5-year-old physically become pregnant? She's not producing eggs. Well, that's what she had. She had that. What was it called again? What's it called? It's a weird name. Why can't I? That's it. Precocious puberty. Yeah. All right. So that's how her plumbing was able to get pregnant at 5 years old. But then you got to think, who's getting her pregnant? Well, obviously her father was arrested, which, you would think they didn't have any evidence. And this girl gave birth to a healthy 6-pound baby boy. She was 5 years, 7 months old when she gave birth. And, the kid lived a normal life. She didn't get to raise him, or actually she was with him for the first 10 years of his life. And he thought that she was just his older sister. And then they told him that she was actually his mom when she was like 15 or something. And then something happened where she wasn't allowed to be around him anymore. I don't know, whatever. The story is very sketchy, and I'm doing this from memory. Her dad was not convicted. They had no evidence. So, and she never, ever, ever said who the father was. And doctors and like all these people who have talked to her, lawyers, because it's crime, some of them think that like she doesn't know. She was only 5 years old. She has no idea who the person was who did this to her. 5 years old, she had a baby. Ugh. Sadly, that baby died at like 30 years old of bone marrow issues. That's something else I remember. I remember she outlived the baby, which isn't all that rare, but still tragic. But more of a possibility, I guess, when there's only a 5-year age difference between mother and child. Ah! All right, you guys want to take a break so we can all take a shower? That is just, ugh. Antecedently on this day in 1948, Israel is declared to be an independent state. Happy birthday, Israel! On this day in 1948. Of course, Immediately after the declaration, Israel is attacked by neighboring Arab states, triggering the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. So they said, hey, we're here. And instead of welcome to the party, they got bum rushed by the bouncers, and war immediately followed. Antecedently on this day in 1961, civil rights movement, white mob twice attacks a Freedom Rider bus near Anniston, Alabama, before firebombing the bus and attacking the civil rights protesters who were forced to flee the burning vehicle. All right, doesn't say anything about that, so that's good. But man, what is that about? These are my grandparents. You know, these are your grandparents. These are just a couple of generations removed from who we are. What would it take to get you? I shouldn't say this in this day and age where we're all like, well, not we're all, but 15 crazy on the right, 15 crazy on the left. We got 30% of the population who is just a powder keg getting ready to just firebomb a bus. Like, what would it be today? On the right, it would be a bus of trans people, you know, firebomb. My point is this. Wow. You know, the greatest generation, they tell us. Yeah, the greatest generation. They won World War II. They went through the Depression. Yeah, they did. They went through all of that stuff, and they were severely fucking broken people. At least by today's standards. That's just let's go attack a bus filled with people who are just trying to get rights for other citizens. It's crazy. On this day in 1961. On this day, antecedently in the year 2022, oh God, changed the tone. I always do this before. It's the Buffalo supermarket shooting. Remember the Buffalo supermarket shooting a couple of years ago? Crazy white supremacist dude walks into the Buffalo supermarket in the black neighborhood, kills a bunch of people. Just terrible. 10 people are killed when that little nut job walked in and did his thing. All right, moving on. Let's do some birthdays. One. They all say it's their birthday. These are birthdays of people. I don't know if it's really their birthday. I'm not going to go around to county offices from coast to coast trying to confirm whether or not it is, in fact, George Lucas's birthday. We're just going to go with the fact that it is. George Lucas, Star Wars. What else are we going to say? George Lucas, American Graffiti. Dude has had the exact same head look for 60 years. Like George Lucas has always had the pompadour, the glasses, and the beard. That's George Lucas. Got the same look. Happy birthday, George Lucas. He changed the world. He did. He really did. He changed generations. Star Wars was pretty damn important culturally. Moving on. Let's see here. Born on this day in 1952. Did not know until this morning that this person was not American. Thought this was an American guy. Happy birthday, David Byrne of the Talking Heads. David Byrne of the Talking Heads is not American. Born in Scotland, raised in Canada. But born in Scotland, like he's Scottish. He's a Scottish citizen. David Byrne of the Talking Heads. What? Really? I didn't know that. I always thought he was just a New York guy. I just thought Talking Heads were just a bunch of New York art school snobs. That's what I thought they were. Moving on. Born on this day in 1952. Guys, we're going to take a moment here and we're going to honor somebody that I don't think really gets honored as much as he should. I think he gets lost in the shuffle. You know how I love my film directors and I like to do film director drafts. Well, we're going to do a film director draft on this. The birthday on this day in 1952, born was Robert Zemeckis. Robert Zemeckis. Now, for some reason, we don't think of Robert Zemeckis when we think of, the Spielbergs and the Tarantinos and the Scorseses. But I make the case that we should. Robert Zemeckis has quietly made some incredibly big and culturally important films. Major ones. Robert Zemeckis draft. Here we go. We do it like an NFL draft. We treat all of the films of Robert Zemeckis like they are kids coming out of college. And we are now picking off the board. So the first pick is the best pick. We do a 5-round draft, not a 7-round draft, but we do make some camp invites at the end. People not drafted, but who we want to take a closer look at. So let's get started. Number 1 off the board in this Robert Zemeckis draft, Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump. It's number 1 off the board. That's a great movie. Even though it is a dream of mine that one day I will be able to finish watching that film with my son. I made my son watch Forrest Gump with me at 10 years old as a part of his cultural education. I figured it was something they needed to know and needed to have seen. So we watched it, and he was really into it, and he loved the character of Forrest Gump. Who doesn't love the character of Forrest Gump? Then Gump goes to Vietnam, and then Bubba gets killed, and then all of a sudden my son can't watch anymore. We never got past it. He was not, I don't know, and my son is a master con man and a manipulator. Maybe he wasn't enjoying it as much and wanted to be done and go back to playing games or watching YouTube. But in the moment, he said, Dad, I just can't do it anymore. And I felt heartbroken, and I said, okay. I think he just knew that that was a way that I would stop the movie and let him go watch YouTube. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. Not entirely sure. It was cute. He was crying. The death of Bubba in Forrest Gump crushed my kid at like 10, 11 years old. He's 15 now. I'd like to go back and try and watch it again. Forrest Gump is number 1 off the board in the Robert Zemeckis draft. Number 2 off the board in the Robert Zemeckis draft, I'm going with Back to the Future, the original Back to the Future. How's that for a 1-2, huh? Hey, have you made any cultural, whatever, cultural, what? I mean, come on, Back to the Future and Forrest Gump, 1-2, 1-2. Those are great. Third round in the draft is where we typically like to reach. This might not be one that comes to you first of mind, especially since there are other bangers still on the list here for Robert Zemeckis draft. But with the third pick, I'm going with Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey's Contact. Contact, about alien contact. You know me, I'm an alien guy. I believe that there's a better than no chance that I am part alien. And that's why Contact is so important to me. The film Contact, number 3 off the board in the Robert Zemeckis draft. All right, number 4, changed everything, changed Hollywood, changed everything. Everybody went, what? You can do that? Holy crap. And now we take it for granted. Robert Zemeckis, number 4 in the draft, Roger Rabbit. Oh, yeah. That movie blew minds. Bob Hoskins in his trench coat, hanging out with cartoon characters. Everybody in America had to reckon with the idea that they wanted to have sex with a cartoon character. That's right. Jessica Rabbit was hot. If you were a dude back then, like me, like I was probably 20, 22, wasn't sure what I was. I mean, I knew what I was, but you know, still finding my way as a man. I saw Jessica Rabbit. Whoo! She was hot. Based on Rita Hayworth, by the way, who put a pin in that. We'll be back to her. Number 5 and the final pick in the Robert Zemeckis draft, 5th round. I also want to reach, but I love this movie. Flight. Such a good movie. Flight. Denzel Washington. He's a drunken airline pilot. Flies the plane upside down. Come on, that's a great scene in that movie. Dan Connor from Roseanne. Can't think of his name. What's John Goodman? Ladies and gentlemen. The mind might be slower, but it's in there. John Goodman. Denzel Washington. Flight. Number 5 in the Robert Zemeckis draft. All right, let's do some free agent camp invites, right? These are people that we're going to take a closer look at because we think they deserve it. Robert Zemeckis draft camp invites are going to be Used Cars. You guys remember Used Cars? God, I love that movie. I don't know why, but I started watching it when I was 10 years old. I think there was about a 5-year period where Used Cars was the only movie that was on VHS video cassette. Now that and A Man Called Horse, because for like 5 years, those are the only 2 movies I ever saw on a VCR. Used Cars, Kurt Russell as a car salesman. Funny movie, man. Funny movie. Used Cars gets a camp invite. Romancing the Stone gets a camp invite. I loved Romancing the Stone. I thought it was great. Sure, it was a bit of a Raiders of the Lost Ark ripoff, but it had Danny DeVito, Michael Douglas, and the chick who's not Sharon Stone, but seems like she should be Sharon Stone. What's her name? She was Chandler's mom on Friends. I can't think of her name. Never mind. I still like Romancing the Stone. She's not Sharon Stone, but she reminds me of Sharon Stone. Or Sharon Stone reminds me of Catherine, huh? No, it was close. It was close. What's her name? Body Double. What's her name, chat room? You're going to leave me hanging? Seriously. We're not moving on until somebody in the chat room tells me. Thank you, Tracy D. Kathleen Turner. That's who it is, Kathleen Turner. She's not Sharon Stone, you know. All right, also getting invited, Castaway. Tom Hanks talking to Wilson the Ball. That was good. Castaway's getting a camp invite. What Lies Beneath, which is a really good sort of murder dark mystery, they're also getting camp invites. And how do you not invite to camp Back to the Future 2 and Back to the Future 3? There you have it. Robert Zemeckis, underrated film director. We don't think of him in the echelon of names that, you know, but I think we should. For Forrest Gump and Back to the Future and Roger Rabbit alone, people, come on. Happy birthday, Robert Zemeckis. Born on this day in 1952. Born on this day in 1961, English actor Tim Roth. I like him. Did he ever get his teeth fixed? He had a snaggletooth. Remember him? Well, Tim Roth, I think we may have first been introduced to Tim Roth in Reservoir Dogs, which was Quentin Tarantino's breakthrough 1992 indie heist film. So good. So good. Yeah, you better damn well believe I've made my 15-year-old see that already. He saw that at like 12. Yeah, I know. Well, but isn't that something dad's allowed to do? Dad's allowed to show their 12-year-old Reservoir Dogs? I think that's fine. Tim Roth was the cop was Tim Roth the cop being tortured? Wait, I get Tim Roth in Reservoir Dogs confused with Tim Roth in Pulp Fiction. In Pulp Fiction, Tim Roth was the guy who got his head blown off in the back of the car. Or was Tim Roth? I don't know, whatever. It's Tim Roth's birthday. He's pretty good. Although I can't say he's memorable because all of his roles are now kind of becoming one thing. Happy birthday, Tim Roth. Born on this day in 1961, English actor Tim Roth. Born on this day in 1969, another actress not from here, Cate Blanchett, 1969. Cate Blanchett, I used to like have difficult, I don't anymore because one has separated themselves. But the Cates, you know, the fancy, I call them the fancy Cates. They're all like British Cates or Australian Cates, whatever. They're all Cates who have accents, you know, and they play the Queen and stuff like that. You got your Cate Blanchett, our birthday girl. You got your Kate Winslet. She's, you know, everything else. Then you got your Kate Beckinsale. She's the one that separated herself. I know my Kate Beckinsale because for some reason I've fallen in love with her. Can't explain it. But happy birthday, Cate Blanchett. Isn't there more? There's more Cates, aren't there? There's more. There's a lot more Cates. But there's American Cates. There's Kate Hudson. Okay, that's it. All right, moving on. Anyway, the fancy Cates are Cate Blanchett, Kate Winslet, and Kate Beckinsale. Born on this day in 1971. Happy birthday to a Nepo baby, Sofia Coppola. All right. I mean, you know, I like my film directors. I'm just going to ask the question. Is Sofia Coppola wildly overrated as a filmmaker, or is it just me? I don't know if it's just me. People, oh, she's so good. Here's what I think Sofia Coppola gets. Sofia Coppola gets what I am convinced Marvin Harrison Jr. has received. Sofia Coppola is the daughter of Francis Ford Coppola. So, you know, obviously she had some doors open for her. She didn't have to win a jury prize at some film festival in order to get noticed by somebody. Her dad probably introduced, which is fine. It's a family business. I get it. Hollywood is an industry town. We shouldn't get all bent out of shape. But from the very moment that Sofia Coppola started making movies, she was being crammed down our throat as the next great auteur of American filmmaking. And I just haven't seen it. I just have not seen it. I've seen every one of her movies. You know, the critics are like, oh, it's just so fantastic. And then I watch it and I'm like, one, I didn't get it. And maybe that's because I fell asleep 20 minutes in. Happy birthday, Sofia Coppola. Born on this day in 1971. Born on this day in 1983, Frank Gore. He's still playing. Probably. I don't know where is Frank Gore. Here's how I know the whereabouts of Frank Gore. Every couple of years, I'll be watching a football game that I'm not particularly interested in, and they'll hand the ball off to Frank Gore, and I'll go, he's still playing? I don't know if he's still playing. Frank Gore, good running back, San Francisco 49ers. That's where I think of him most, but then, you know, he bounced around the league. He's probably played for every team at some point, although I don't think he's played for the Cowboys or my Bears. So Anyway, happy birthday, Frank Gore. Happy birthday, born on this day in 1983. You are a durable son of a bitch. Born on this day in 1984, Mark Zuckerberg, the Zuck. Yeah, we'll move on from that. He doesn't need any big birthdays. Born on this day in 1989, the Gronk, Rob Gronkowski. I've struggled with my relationship with Gronkowski. Because, in the beginning, especially when it comes to sports figures, I pretty much rely on my programming and don't think too much about it and just block them into categories, right? Like, okay, and Gronkowski was just a dumbass meathead to me forever. Then as my kid grew up, my kid watched a lot of children's programming, and believe it or not, but Gronkowski for the last 15 years has been everywhere on children's programming. I think he's got a production company that makes children's programs. So I started seeing Gronkowski in a different light, and I'm like, oh, so he's big, dumb, nice guy, kind of like him, right? Then I come to learn that Gronkowski's actually a really, really smart guy. This whole playing the dumb guy thing, that's just his role. So I think I like Gronkowski. I hear he killed at the Tom Brady roast, although I still haven't brought myself to watch it. I just think, ugh. Although everybody says it was funny and Gronk was good. There you go. Happy birthday, Gronk. That's quarter one and quarter two. Those are in the books. Now it's time to move on to quarter three. We call this the Deads. These are the people who died on this day. We decide whether or not they go to heaven or hell. Remember, I told you I name-checked this woman earlier. I said, have yourself put a pin in that because we're going to bring her up again. Jessica Rabbit was, of course, based on Rita Hayworth. Rita Hayworth died on this day. Who was Rita Hayworth? Well, here, this is who Rita Hayworth is because, some things cannot be denied. Let's take a look. For those of you, Rita Hayworth was basically what every soldier in World War II jerked off to. That's what her and Betty Grable. They were what were known as pinups. Okay, these were girls who became incredibly famous because of their beauty and because they were painted on the side of bombers and because they had these pinups. You could pin up these pictures of them in your private lockers or wherever it is that you sleep over there in World War II. That's who she was. She's also an actress. She was more than just a pinup. She was actually a very, very highly regarded actress. I believe she won a bunch of Oscars for a film called Gilda. I've never seen it, but here's why I want to show her to you because it's not really deniable. Rita Hayworth was a timeless smoke show. Dead on this day, sure, but sometimes when you see sometimes when you see actresses or ladies from that period and they were considered beautiful and you look at them and you're like, nope, I don't get it. I don't see what people are. I think Rita Hayworth is one of those timeless ones. So you just look at and you go, yeah, that's beautiful in any era. All right, so now let's look at her. All right, look at her right there. It's pretty good. Although hair, I bet hair sucked. But I like chicks' hair back then. I bet it was just such a process. And I bet right there, good-looking woman. She's definitely a hot woman. See, her face is prettier than Marilyn Monroe's by far. I mean, look at that. There you go, bombshell. She's like, take me home, baby. Rita Hayworth. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. All right. That's a little, I don't know what the hell is going on. That looks colorized and not at all normal. Good looking woman showing a little leg there. All right. My point is this. Rita Hayworth died today in 1987, I should say. So we must now consider whether or not she goes to heaven or hell. And it's tricky because as you know that I have certain rules. They're not hard and fast. They're fluid, I suppose, given the right set of circumstances. But my rules are this. Without any other information and you're an actress, you go straight to hell because all actresses are nuts. The same goes for politicians of any party with, again, certain dispensations made. Like Lincoln. I'm not sending Lincoln to hell. And then the other is football coaches, like college football coaches in particular. They all go straight to hell. And pro football coaches, really, until the emergence of Mike McDaniel, who seems like a more evolved individual, pro football coaches always went to hell. They were all like, Jimmy Johnson, Mike Ditka, they're going to hell. But, you get these new age coaches who seem like they're nice people who actually care about shit. All right, so those are the rules. So Rita Hayworth is obviously an actress, but she was also, man, there's some so Rita Hayworth started performing in vaudeville or whatever you want to call it when she was very young, a dance team, her and her father. And they went coast to coast, and she was a pretty, obviously, look at her, she's a pretty young girl, and dad is dancing with her, and she grows up on the stages of vaudeville or whatever. And he marries her off to this like rich billionaire Texas guy who was in the audience. Like dad, like marries her off. Like, yeah, go ahead, you're with him now. She was 18 at the time, and this dude was like in his 50s, but he was a billionaire. Now, I should also mention that that's not the worst thing her dad ever did to her, because according to her own recollections and her own stories, and Orson Welles, who she was married to later in life, her dad molested her regularly and would basically afford to pay for room and by prostituting her to members of the audience after shows. So that's who Rita Hayworth is. So we have to think about that when we decide, well, all actresses go to hell. But are there extenuating circumstances? And I think anybody who has that kind of a childhood and that kind of, I think, they're broken. They get the benefit of the doubt. We're putting Rita Hayworth in heaven. She was also married like 5 times, and like all of her marriages ended because of her alcoholism and all that. But seriously, she was taken across the country and sold to men from like the age of 10. So she gets a break. Rita Hayworth goes to heaven. Congratulations, lady. You're an actress, but you're going to heaven. Dead on this day in 1993, William Randolph Hearst Jr. Fuck that guy. That guy's going straight to hell. William Randolph Hearst Jr. Are you kidding me? Dead on this day in 98. Yeah, I thought it was. I didn't think it was. Dead on this day in 1998. And this is going to be difficult because we got to be honest about this guy. He's one of my all-time favorites. Frank Sinatra passed away on this day in 1998. I love Frank Sinatra. I love the legend of Frank Sinatra. I love the way that Frank carried himself. The truth of it is that he was an emotional infant, Frank Sinatra, who could get whatever he wanted whenever he wanted. But he was also a nice man. Like yes, he got what he wanted when he wanted, and he'd, hey, give this to me. And he was bossy and all that kind of stuff, and probably embroiled with some criminal element for the bulk of his career. But he was a big-hearted guy. Like, he was good to his people and all that stuff. But what are we talking about? Frank's got to go to hell, right? Frank Sinatra, you can't live that life of power here on earth and then expect to have that again for eternity. No. So Frank Sinatra, I love him, but he's going to hell. I can't even. Dead on this day in 2003, Robert Stack. Robert Stack, he's the Unsolved Mysteries guy. He's a D-bag. He's like, Unsolved Mysteries. Look at me. I'm a detective, but not really. I'm an actor. He'd wear the trench coat like he was Kojak or something. Robert Stack, D-bag. Dead on this day in 2015, we're going to preemptively put this guy into heaven. Why? Because I met him once, and he was so nice. Ladies and gentlemen, on this day, B.B. King died. B.B. King. But Lucille, his guitar lives on. B.B. King, I met B.B. King at the Chicago House of Blues. They were doing some kind of like anniversary party there, and a radio station was involved in it, and he was there, and he came on the show. B.B. King was awesome. He was just so nice. Such a gentleman. All right, B.B. King goes to heaven because I met him. Also, I'm putting this guy in heaven just because I don't know any bad stuff about him, and as a child, this is interesting. Okay, so I was thinking about this yesterday because for some reason Carol Burnett was trending yesterday, and I clicked on Carol Burnett because I'm like, oh, please don't be dead. I don't need that in my life. I don't need that today. I don't need to have to mourn the loss of like an icon of my childhood. So thankfully, Carol Burnett's not dead. Denzel Washington meme. But I fell into a hole about the Carol Burnett show. And on this day in 2019, Tim Conway died. Tim Conway, who interestingly enough Carol Burnett show ran from 1968 to 1977, I think, or 1967, 1970, something 60, I don't know, something like that. Tim Conway wasn't a regular cast member of the Carol Burnett show until 1975, which is weird for me because it seems like he was there the whole time. And he was just a guest player. And I thought, what? Why did they show so much disrespect to Tim Conway? And then I fell into a Tim Conway hole yesterday. And I learned that it wasn't because Tim Conway was being shown disrespect. It was because Tim Conway was actually super in demand. Like he was making crazy Don Knotts movies, Apple Dumpling Gang and stuff like that. He had starred in McHale's Navy. He was in just about every episode of the Carol Burnett Show, but he was never a full-time cast member until 1975. And again, it's not because of disrespect. It's because Tim Conway was actually in demand back then and didn't want to tie himself down to being forced to appear every week. So it was that deal. Tim Conway died on this day in 2019, and I was forced to think about this, and it's one of the reasons why I fell down a Tim Conway hole. Tim Conway might be the first funny person that I remember in my life. Like I hold comedy to be a very, very I have depression, so comedy and being able to laugh stuff off, that's a technique that you develop over years as a defense mechanism. But so Tim Conway. I was trying to think about this last night. I think Tim Conway and his Mr. Tudball and all that, I think that might be the first shit that made me laugh as a kid. I mean, maybe I laughed at Oscar the Grouch, but the first actual grown-up comedy that actually connected with me as a kid, I think it's Tim Conway. So yeah, Tim Conway's going to heaven. Tim Conway goes straight to heaven. That dude was funny. Dorf. Remember Dorf? Dorf was hysterical. Get out of here. He's on his knees. Dorf. Tim Conway. All right, dead on this day in 2019. That's going to do it, folks. I appreciate you hanging out for the first 3 quarters of the show. I'd like to remind you all that this show, this non-divisive, non-political, straight talk, the way talk radio should sound, but AM radio won't allow, is controlled almost entirely by your goodwill. Drop a little something in the Venmo or the Cash App and help this show continue. All right, now it's time for quarter 4. Quarter 4 is where we do all the topics of today. Hold on, let me see what the big topic is behind me right now. Yeah, well, look at that. Trump trial is what we're going to do first. Trump trial. I'm not going to spend any time on this at all. Trump defense is cross-examining Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen is still the rat-faced man himself. Oh, does Michael Cohen have a punchable face? We talked about punchable faces yesterday. Oh, Michael Cohen has a punchable face. Oh. And more developing an update on Steve Buscemi's punchable face coming up. So Michael Cohen, whatever, we know who he is. Michael Cohen is they're calling him his fixer. It sounds like he was just his legal stooge who would get on the phone and just scream at people and intimidate them. Michael Cohen was a total D-bag. But Michael Cohen did go to jail over this whole thing. And, now he's testifying for the prosecution. And, apparently yesterday he dropped some things that were pretty good for the prosecution. I don't know, but now the defense gets their crack at him. They're just going to bring everybody, even the people who were talking about Michael Cohen, nothing is good. It's never good. It's like, well, nobody likes this guy, but he's up there saying nobody likes him. Hope Hicks, she gave some damning testimony concerning Michael Cohen last week, when she was on the stand and they were talking about the $130,000 payment that was given to Stormy Daniels by Michael Cohen. Now, Michael Cohen, if you believe Michael's story, he gave this $130,000 to Stormy Daniels at the behest of Donald Trump. Did it himself to eliminate the paper trail. Trump was going to pay him back. So Michael Cohen is on the stand yesterday, or to Hope Hicks, I'm sorry, was on the stand last week, and she was being asked about the $130,000, and she said about Michael Cohen, they said, do you believe that Michael Cohen thought he was going to get paid back? And she said about Michael Cohen, well, it's not really in his nature to do anything charitable. So it's like even the people who are backing up his stories are like, yeah, he's a dick though, and nobody likes him. He sold his soul, and he went to jail. He was on earlier today. He was talking about how he lost everything having to go to jail. And one of the things that he lost was he owned cab medallions. He says he lost all his cab medallions. I don't know if you know what cab medallions are, but they're very in cities like Chicago and New York. And those are the 2 cities that he lost his cab medallions in that he specifically cited. Cab medallions allow you to legally operate a cab service in a major city. Meaning if you got a cab medallion and it's on your car is now legally considered a livery vehicle or a cab vehicle. And they're extremely, extremely hard to get. very expensive, locked in. They ain't they ain't giving out any more. They're like liquor licenses. And Michael Cohen had to sell all of his cab medallions. Apparently, he had quite a fleet of cab medallions in New York and Chicago, and he had to sell them because you're not allowed to be a criminal and own cab medallions. So sorry, Michael Cohen. Anyway, that's what's going on. I don't know how much longer this is going to go. Today, I guess I think that the Trump defense said that they were going to continue Michael Cohen's cross-examination by the defense into tomorrow. So we'll see if anything happens. I don't know. All right, here's a story concerning wholesale prices. I like to bring these out as big. The government announced this. Wholesale prices jumped more than expected in April. Yeah, you're damn right. Damn right, prices are still jumping. These are wholesale, though, not retail. So the next story that's going to come out in a couple weeks is going to be about how inflation is back again at the supermarket, and that will be directly tied to this story of this week about wholesale prices going up. See, it's all a domino effect, and the bottom line is that we pay more than we ever have. Wholesale prices jumped more than expected in April, pushing up another potential roadblock to interest rate cuts. The producer price index, a gauge of prices received at the wholesale level, increased by almost 1% for the month. That's higher than the 0.3% Dow Jones estimate that the Labor Department's Bureau of Labor Statistics had reported on Tuesday. Oh, so they lied. So they told us one thing, and then it turns out it's something else. I don't know. We're moving on. I hate these stories. Anyway, things are going to continue to be expensive. They're going to go up and the excuse now is going to be wholesale prices. That's not you. You didn't do anything. It's wholesale prices. All right, I promised you an update on Steve Buscemi. We heard the story about Steve Buscemi, the actor who was walking in New York City the other day and just got clocked in the side of the face. He's got black eyes, and the dude who punched him just kind of disappeared into the crowd of New York City. And it's not just Steve Buscemi. Michael Stuhlbarg, who I told you about yesterday. Stuhlbarg, he was the victim of a random assault in New York City a couple of weeks ago when somebody chucked a rock at his head. Stuhlbarg actually chased that dude down and tackled him and held him for police. Of course, we've been reporting about all the random women being punched in New York City, just chicks walking down the street and they get cold call. What is going on? Is this a thing? Where are they having these meetings? Because is this like some weird circle, some weird corner of the internet where these like weirdos are getting together going, who'd you randomly punch in the face on the streets of New York City today? Didn't somebody punch Rick Moranis too? Don't you remember Rick Moranis got punched in the face? Is that what it is? Are we punching like, B-level celebrities now? Yeah, I did. I put Rick Moranis in the B-level because he ain't Brad Pitt. Let's see here. Buscemi update. I want to show you this. We got a picture of Buscemi. Buscemi's out and about. I got a picture of him. Apparently he was shooting a commercial in New York City. Here's a picture of Buscemi's. His eye's pretty jacked up. I can see why I went to the hospital. Boom. Here you go. Good New York Post. Is this New York Post? I think it might be. No, we don't need Rita Hayworth. Geez, pop-ups. Everybody's got to get their money. All right. Let's see a close-up of it. All right, there you go. That's, I guess, as close as we're going to get. You can see underneath his sunglasses, you can see how it's all black and blue. Buscemi got punched in the face. Now I want to show you the guy. Here's the guy they think. And it's kind of like, it's like worst case scenario for me, actually. Because when I'm thinking like, all right, who punched me? And why didn't I chase after him? And, when I start thinking of all the possibilities of the people who could just randomly cold cock me on the street, this guy, the gentleman I'm about to see, he's pretty low on the list. I don't think I want to take a random cold cock punch from him. There he is. That's him right there. He looks like an extremely yoked, large black dude who just cold cocked Buscemi right in the face. That's the guy. They don't know who he is, but that's who the police are looking for. And what's crazy is, here's the thing. This dude, look at this picture right here. This is the dude who police think just walked up to Steve Buscemi on the streets of New York and randomly crushed the side of his head. This dude. I have to tell you, when I was imagining who it is, I was also kind of thinking, homeless guy, something like this. This guy looks like his shit is together. This dude has a gym membership. This guy pays money every month. This guy's probably a trainer. Doesn't he look like a trainer? Like a gym trainer? He's got a backpack, which means he's got things. And he's got things that are organized in a backpack, which is different than a shopping cart. He's got a hat. He looks clean. He doesn't look dirty. This is not the person that I'm thinking is going to be randomly walking up to people on the streets of New York City and punching them. And to make matters worse, he looks like he could throw a punch. He looks like he could connect. All right, there you have it. That's the Buscemi update. Thank you for joining us. We'll have more as details present themselves. Here's another thing out of New York City today that I think is really funny. They're having some portal problems. I don't know if you've seen this going around. This is a story that's trending. An artist, because artists always have the worst ideas, an artist has created a video portal. It's like a portal to another dimension in New York City, except it's not. It's just a camera. It's just basic technology. But he's got one portal in New York City, and he's got another portal in Dublin. And these are in parks or somewhere. I don't know, like someplace in New York, someplace where tourists gather. It's like a tourist attraction. And the thing is that people in New York City walk up to the portal, and they see the people in Dublin through it. And the people in Dublin, they see the people in New York through it. So it's a portal. It's pretty cool. All right. Fun. I don't know if you walk like 10 blocks to have that experience, because it's just a camera. It's just, you could just call someone in Dublin and Skype with them, and it's the same thing. But okay, I get it. It's a touristy thing. Now, let's go back a little bit. You people know this about me. I got a problem with us. We the people are the problem. Now, we project all of the blame onto other things and all that, but ultimately, we the people. Oh, you don't like Congress? Well, guess who keeps electing them? We the people. You know why? Because we hate Congress. Oh, we hate all of Congress. We just don't hate our guy. Our guy is the one we reelect, and everybody is doing that. And that's why we have a Congress with a 2% approval rating who has a 100% reelection rate. Because it's not our guy. Our guy tussled Jimmy's head at the pancake breakfast last 4th of July. I'm voting for him forever. He tussled Jimmy's hair. But it's your guy. Your congressman is the one that's... So that's the problem we have. We the people. It's we the people who need to wake up. You know why I think we can't have flying cars? Because we can't be trusted. It's not that the technology isn't there. We could have had flying cars 50 years ago. But you know what? Thankfully, somebody smart enough went, people can't handle flying cars. People can't handle flying cars. Well, guess what? We also can't handle portals. We can't handle it. We can't. We're human beings, and no matter what, we're just going to do the inappropriate thing because we're fucking idiots. All right, so here, let me show you. Okay. All right. So here's what happens. This is the people in Ireland. This is what the people in Dublin did to the people in New York. Okay. Here, I'll show you this. You get a good look at what this portal situation looks like. There you go. We can't handle it. We can't behave ourselves. That's the problem. So here's the portal. These are people in New York watching people in Dublin. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. All right. So the people in Dublin, they walk up and they're showing some 9/11 shit. Yeah, we can't behave ourselves. All right. So there you have it. So that's one of the things that happened. But that ain't all that happened. Because you'd have to think that America's going to get their pound, right? So here, this happened on our end. This is how we handle the portal. This is what people in New York City did to the people in Dublin. Hold on. Oh my God, we're all just rodents, man. We're all just. Yeah, let's watch this. All right, so this is how New York. This is what New York did, because they're idiots too. Here we go. Yeah. There we go. Oh yeah, there you go. Yes. Why don't you pop up and show all the people in Dublin your titties? You can't handle flying cars. All right. New York City's got some portal problems. It's us. We can't handle things. We can't. We do stupid, inappropriate shit. 9/11. That's just mean. By the way, the internet is just filled with people doing inappropriate things today on the portal. I believe it opened today. What is the what's the story with it? It's some artist who wanted to create an installation that would connect people. I'm like, okay, we all have phones. We're all walking around with phones. If we wanted to connect with people in England or Ireland or wherever, it would be super easy. No, but this is going to bring the world together. No, it's not. How much were you paid for this? This is all a con. You got paid a lot of money. You created some fancy looking mirror, but it's really just a camera with a screen. Portal problems in New York City. Let's see here. Nope, don't want to do that story. I just skipped over a story. I skipped over a story that I put in here. Now I don't want to do it. I'll tell you in a nutshell. There's a mom in Tennessee. She's got a baby inside of her. Tennessee, baby inside her. You know where this is going. She's a mom in Tennessee. She's got a baby inside of her, and the baby's brain is growing outside the body. And the baby has to be delivered because of the abortion rules. So she has to carry this baby with the brain outside to deliver it dead or have it die instantly. So that's fucked up. And that's why I didn't really want to get into that story, because there are no exceptions for abortion in Tennessee. None. No exceptions. None. Fucking monstrous, that attitude. Really? No exceptions? Did we learn nothing from the 3 strikes you're out law? Remember the 3 strikes you're out? Remember when a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old kid gets caught with a joint? Strike 1. And then 4 years later, he's driving and the cops pull him over and they smell weed and then he goes, strike 2. And then I don't know, a couple of years after that, maybe he's again stopped for something. He's at this point, he's a 27-year-old who's skateboarding on a public place. And, the cops frisk him and they find another joint. Strike 3. Remember when we had those rules and that kid had to go to jail for life? We learned nothing from not thinking this through. Tennessee, with your 0 tolerance, just if it's a baby in you, it's got to be born. Really? No consideration for the mother, no consideration for the circumstance, no consideration for anything. This baby is not viable. This baby is going to die. You are actively, through your cruel and draconian, really, abortion policies, you're going to force this good woman to have to carry this tortured child inside of her to completion and then give birth to it and watch it die immediately. Wow. Yeah, that sounds very Christ-like. But I don't want to do that story. All right, moving on. The dress. Oh, let's talk about the dress. This is a fun one. I don't remember what the deal was with this. Do you remember the dress? You know when I say the dress, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that viral thing that went around a whole bunch of years ago. It was either black and blue or white and gold, and half of us saw it one way and the other half of us saw it the other, and I still don't know what the fuck that means. I don't know if that means there is a God, or I don't know if that means there's not a God, but that means something. There is something significant happening with that dress and why half of us see it one way and half of us see it the other. It's like a They Live kind of scenario. Remember They Live, that Roddy Piper movie where they put on glasses and they... All right, so the dress people. So the story behind that dress was it was a bridesmaid dress, and the mother of the bride had found it in a store, and she took a picture of it and she sent it to her daughter, and the mother said, look at this so-and-so colored dress, and the daughter said, no, it's not that color, and that's how it became a thing, just a thing between a mother and a daughter. So anyway, she gets married, the girl gets married, and the dress couple, they go on Ellen, right? The husband and the wife of the dress, they go on Ellen, and they get a $10,000 and they get fancy trip. They're kind of, well known for a bit. Well, that marriage is over. Marriage is over, and it's ending with him going to jail because apparently he liked to knock her around a little bit. What color is the blood? When the police interviewed her after her first battery, do you think they said, "Are you black and blue or are you white and gold?" See, that's kind of stuff I can do here, but not on the radio. Scottish husband behind viral blue-black dress illusion admits to brutally attacking his wife. The Scottish husband behind the infamous dress that broke the internet admitted to strangling his wife nearly a year after he was arrested and charged with attempted murder. Keir Johnston, 38, pled guilty on Thursday to attacking his wife, Grace Johnson, in their home. Oh, here is this them from... we'll watch the video. Why not watch the video? You don't need me to read this stuff. Here. New York Post always has like just the most gossipy stuff. All right, here we go. Let's watch this. Where's the volume? I need some volume. There we go. All right, let's see the story.
Still a top trending topic.
Your mother sends you a dress and to wear at your wedding, right?
Yeah, so she sent me 3 photos of 3 different dresses. And I said, "So which one is it? Which one do you like the best?" And she said, "The third one." I said, "Oh, the white and gold one."
All right, the man behind the infamous dress that broke the internet has been accused of trying to kill his wife. Keir Johnson appeared on the high court. Okay, you can read it. All right, we don't need any more of that. I hate doing this stuff. Let's see. The Scottish husband behind the infamous dress, Keir Johnson, pled guilty to attacking his wife in their home. Johnson was alleged to have brandished a knife while he threatened his wife, saying, "Someone is going to die," following a night of drinking. Well, I kind of figured that, right? The almost fatal attack began days before when Grace defied Keir's demands of not attending a job interview on the mainland. Oh, island life. This is like Scottish island life. Rocky, dead soil, stinky sheep island life. On the day of the attack, Keir Johnson told his wife he would be leaving her, which led to an argument between the couple. All right, so here's the dress. All right, so let me show you. Let's look at the dress. All right, here's the dress. Here's the picture of the dress. I don't remember how this worked. All right. So I am looking at this dress right now, and I know this is exactly cutting edge content, but I just want to refresh our memories on the dress. So I'm looking at this dress right now, and I am seeing gold stripes for sure, most prominent gold stripes, but then like a purple blue, like a light purple plum kind of blue. And I don't understand how anybody else can see anything else. So go ahead, chat room. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? I am seeing gold stripes, horizontal stripes, gold horizontal stripes. And then everything else is like well, now it seems to be changing before my very eyes. Blue. Seems to be blue. Baby blue. Purplish blue. All right. Because did we all see it different? All right, so Barney says it's black and blue. Where are you seeing black? It is obviously, see, this is why it's such a crazy phenomenon. This is why I don't think God exists. Or maybe God does exist. I don't know if this is proof or validation of a life without faith. Let me see here. Black and blue, Jeff says. Black and blue, Cameron says. Blue and black. Where's black? Where are you guys seeing blue? Sally sees gold and white. See, okay, so at least she's seeing gold. How are you seeing black? This is so fucked up. This is some voodoo. There is literally nothing black in that picture. Thank you, Jameson. There is nothing black at all. It's gold and purple blue. Faded light purple bluish. Barney's colorblind, though. I don't know how that affects it. But at least Jameson and I are both seeing gold. I can't believe that people are seeing black. That's just crazy to me because it's not even like dark gold. It's like light gold. It's a Notre Dame helmet gold. That's what it is. It's the color of a Notre Dame helmet gold. And that is nowhere near black on the color spectrum. All right, we'll move on because honestly, I could just sit here and scream about that. Look at that. That was fun. See, they gave us that. They gave us that. Those two crazy people gave us that. And now one of those two crazy people are in prison for trying to kill the other one. Let's see here. What else do we have? YouTube. We got some stories about YouTube. Did you know, I said this the other day and I say this all the time. It's not my first or my preferred platform, but if I could only have one platform, it would be YouTube. And by platforms, again, I mean Prime, Hulu, Apple, Disney, Netflix, whatever, Max. Those are platforms, not networks. They're platforms. And if I could just have one platform on a desert island, it would be YouTube. Just because there's so much there. There's just bottomless content. Well, guess what? Apparently I am not alone. YouTube, just standard ass YouTube with the pop-ups and all that stuff. Standard with skip after 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, which is so great. That's like the best way to watch commercials. 5 seconds? I'll do that. That's fine. YouTube is banging. It's crushing. And because people have made it their primary platform of choice. In the competition for US TV time, YouTube is ascendant. Nearly 10% of the time Americans spent in front of TV screens last month was on YouTube's flagship. What is this? I don't need that. Nearly 10% of the time that Americans spent in front of a TV screens last month was on YouTube's flagship smart TV app. Okay, so why is that amazing? Here's why it's amazing. One, this is only for people who are watching YouTube on their flat screen TVs using the YouTube app, which is how I predominantly watch YouTube on the big screen right there. Like here, I like that. I can show you how we do it. It's pretty easy. I wonder if I can put this show on. Hold on. You know what? I come from a world where remote controls used to be attached to the TV with a cord. Now this super sensitive, you don't even have to touch the button. You just hover over it. Let's see. Okay, so this is like just regular YouTube. All right, I don't know what the point of that was. I don't even know why I did that. I think you all know what regular YouTube is. Big giant waste of time. All right, there we go. We're back to this. So 10% of the time that Americans in total watch on television, they watch on YouTube. They watch on smart TV apps on YouTube. That's not counting on their phones. That's not counting on their laptops. This is data compiled by the smart TV people who are ranking what people are watching most, what apps are getting watched most. 10% of the time is on YouTube. Why is that amazing? Because there are hundreds of platforms to choose from. There are hundreds. And for one to get 10%, that's pretty crazy. Nearly 10% of the time Americans spend in front of TV screens last month was on YouTube's flagship smart TV app. This according to Nielsen data. A sign of continued transformation of the platform. Once a repository of amateur videos, the service owned by Alphabet's Google has grown into a streaming behemoth with full-length films, highly produced series, sports highlights, and live events. Yeah. I'll tell you, whenever there's a big news event that happens in the world or around the country or somewhere, I don't go to CNN first. I go to YouTube first because somebody with boots on the ground is live streaming from the event. That's pretty incredible. That's something that YouTube has. They have utilized citizen journalism. They have utilized citizen contributions, regular people. You don't have to be Anderson Cooper. What is he? What is he? What is he? A Vanderbilt? You don't have to have connections, right, to be able to get your voice there. YouTube is for everybody. Disney, the parent company of TV networks such as ABC and ESPN and streaming services, including Disney, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, they got 11%. But do you see what they got 11% with? So Disney totaled 11% viewer among all of their platforms, which is ABC, ESPN, Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus. So all of those platforms together under the Disney banner garnered 11.5. YouTube alone did 10. Just YouTube did 10% of our time. All those others, Hulu, ESPN, Disney, they combined for 11.5% of our time. YouTube is ascending. I hope they don't change it. I think it's run beautifully. I don't have any complaints. I mean, look, sometimes I play music and I go to YouTube jail, and that's fine. I understand the rules. But ease of use and just that algorithm, that damn YouTube algorithm. I would like to meet my YouTube algorithm because nobody knows me better than my YouTube algorithm. Wait a second. Spotify. My Spotify algorithm knows me better than YouTube. It's amazing. It's amazing. All right, YouTube dominating ratings. Let's see here. What else do we have? Ellen DeGeneres has made a big announcement. She's got a new comedy special that's going to be on Netflix. It's her first in 6 years. It is the first of what will be a nationwide tour. Ellen is going on the road. She's doing comedy, and she promises she's going to talk about it. A couple of things about Ellen DeGeneres. One, she is one of the great examples that doesn't include a massive body count because 9/11 is another example of this. But Ellen DeGeneres is a great example of America's ability to be completely outraged by something and then totally forget about it and move on. Ellen DeGeneres did that. Ellen DeGeneres was forced off TV in 1998 for coming out of the closet and being gay. Couldn't be on TV if you were gay. Imagine that in 2024. Imagine that just 24, 25, 26 years later. She was run out of the deemed, can't bank on her. She's gay. No one wants to be in business with her. Like 5 years later, she is the most beloved woman on daytime TV. That's America for you. We ran her off TV because we couldn't tolerate it, and then we made her bigger than she'd ever been before. Ellen, the TV person, hosted that show for 20 years. Before she stepped away amid a whole bunch of smoke. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I've told you about this. I have a friend who wrote for Ellen. He worked for her for a couple of years. And oh boy, get a couple of drinks into him and he will tell you the truth about Ellen DeGeneres. Now, before I tell you that truth about Ellen DeGeneres, let me tell you this truth about her. She's one of the great stand-up comedians of her generation. She didn't get that TV show on ABC in the late 90s because, they were just looking to put fuddly chicks on TV. No, she got that because she was funny as fuck. She was a good stand-up comic. Her way of looking and her way of telling jokes, her style of stand-up comedy was totally unique. She didn't sound like anybody else. She wasn't just up there going, and then when I had my period, she was this strong woman voice who had a completely different perspective on what was funny. She was absurd. She was silly. She was zany. She was interesting to no end. She's a great stand-up comedian. Then she got her TV show at ABC. Then she got run off the air because she was gay. And then she's what she hang out with? Was that with Anne Heche? Was that her and Anne Heche? Wasn't that her girlfriend in the beginning? I know we talked about Anne Heche yesterday when I confused her with Margot Kidder, and that was really painful for me. That's why I was so adamant earlier in the show about not confusing Sharon Stone with Kathleen Turner, because I confuse them too. They're like the same person. So Ellen DeGeneres, great comedian. She gets run off TV because she's gay and with Anne Heche, and she comes back. She builds an empire in daytime television on a show that she owns it, or at least she bought the rights to it early on. Made billions off of that stupid thing. 20 years on the air. Ellen DeGeneres is an institution. Now let's fast forward to why the show ended and things my friend says. She's a bitch. She's a bitch, and not just a bitch, but seems to enjoy being mean to people for no reason. Behind the scenes, not Ellen, not dancing Ellen who comes out and all of this stuff. No, just mean, very Russ Martin-like. If you know, when I tell the stories about Russ Martin, just a cruel person who because of whatever it is that they went through in their life, they've experienced so much compounded cruelty that now they're in a position of power and the only way they know to govern is through cruelty. That's how she was. That's apparently how she was. And I believe it because this person who was a writer for them, they're not the kind of person that would just make shit. You know what I mean? It's believable. This person they weren't fired because they weren't good, because this is a person who's pretty successful in comedy writing. And so it wasn't like, oh, well, I'm just not good enough and I got under my head underwater and she fired me. No, it's just, he's like, he left. Actually, he left that show. Didn't he leave that show for Saturday? He did. He left that show and went to Saturday Night Live. And then, but then that's when he started telling the Ellen stories. And I can tell you, these Ellen stories that he told me, they predate the public Ellen stories. And I'm like, because I remember when I heard those Ellen stories, I'm like, yeah, totally. That tracks with what I've been told about her. Now, also, because we have to balance this out, Dean Lewis, who is the dean of comedy, he used to tour with Ellen. He and Ellen are friends. And I've talked to Dean about it, and he says, I don't get that at all, because she has been awesome to me in my career. And so, I guess it's, true what they say. Even Hitler had a dog, and that dog probably liked Hitler, because, people have different relationships. But anyway, Ellen DeGeneres is coming back. She's going to be touring the country for the first time. She says it's the last time that she's going to be doing stand-up comedy. So if you want to see Ellen DeGeneres do stand-up comedy, first you can check it out on Netflix. Her new special debuts. I don't care. I'm sure they'll let you know. If you've got Netflix, you'll go to Netflix one day and boom, there'll be a big Ellen DeGeneres. So you'll know. But it's coming to Netflix. And then she's coming to Yo Town. And she says she's going to talk about it. So apparently this comedy special is going to talk about people saying she's mean. So, okay, I'm intrigued. How about this one? How about, look, I saw two of them. There's two of them in this particular neighborhood of Highland Park where I live. I've seen two of the Cybertrucks already. And, they're ugly. They're ugly as sin. They're stupid. They're cool because they're so ugly, right? Is that what's going on with them right now? They're like, you see a Cybertruck and you're like, oh, that's one of them fabled Cybertrucks. And then you're like, oh, and then everybody in the car goes, they're so ugly. It seems so stupid. Does anybody think they look cool? Like, I haven't heard that. But also, I tend to see a lot of people like to take shots at Elon Musk. So anything that he does, it's going to be stupid, right? So maybe people are just like, but it is an ugly, fucked up looking truck, right? It's dumb and it's like super expensive. And here's the problem with the Tesla Cybertruck. They'd been promising it for a long time. And Tesla's going through some things. I don't know if you've been reading the headlines, but they've been having trouble for like the last year. Issues. Tesla is not cranking. People aren't buying these damn cars. They're too expensive. And then they're breaking down. And where's the Cybertruck? Where's the Cybertruck? That's what everybody's saying. And so finally, here it comes. Cybertruck is here. And guess what? They're all fucking breaking down. They aren't ready. They aren't ready for mass use at the moment. But Tesla needed some good pubs, so they rushed them to market. And now we've got a situation. We're calling it the Cybertruck Blues. This is a story today about a number of Cybertruck groups on Reddit that have begun popping up. There's only so many people who own this, and apparently these Reddit groups are filled with people with problems concerning their brand new $100,000 plus Cybertruck. Clueless effing idiots. Cybertruck owners mocked as vehicle issues mount up. Cybertruck owners have admitted to experiencing series of issues with their new vehicles after picking them up. Boy, that's something that you want, right? Your brand new car, like immediately, because, every time I've gotten a brand new car, I know I'm immediately concerned about it breaking down. Isn't that the reason you get a brand new car? You get a brand new car because, it ain't going to break down for at least 20,000 miles. You can at least rest assured for the first 20,000, everything should be perfect. Not with these Cybertrucks. A man who bought Tesla's most expensive Cybertruck had to pull over after 35 miles due to a coolant leak. He later discovered that his vehicle, a $120,000 Cyber Beast, wasn't covered under a coolant leak warranty. Of course not. Never is. The car of the future. It's nice to see that car warranties are just as bullshit in the future as they have been now. He later discovered that his vehicle was not covered under a coolant leak warranty. 35 miles. 35 miles after driving it off, he's got a coolant leak, and they're not going to fix it. Let's see here. Posting on X, Jason Jones told Cybertruck Owners Club forum, the other thing that really frustrates me is when I picked up my Cybertruck, it was very dirty and had issues inside. Well, like McDonald's bags? What do you mean? And then he complains that the charge doesn't go higher than 47%. So it's like something wrong with his charging unit on the Cybertruck. It doesn't go more than 47%. Now, all of this is just coupled from this Reddit thing. But all of this, we know that hundreds of them have been recalled. Last week, we did that story about the accelerator sticking, which not good. Not good. Let's see here. These posts have been going viral. Tesla went above and beyond. Let me see here. Posters on Reddit thought Jason was too forgiving. Apparently, Jason, the guy who complained about his coolant leak issue, was too forgiving on the Reddit forum. One person said in the Reddit forum, these people are absolute clueless fucking idiots, and they deserve all the bad treatment that they get from Tesla. Apparently, Tesla customer service isn't great. Another said, Tesla went above and beyond, and I'm very happy, says the owner after getting a coolant leak on a new vehicle that he'd just driven off the lot. What are you talking about? Which is true. So I guess the guy's point is, we can make fun of Cybertrucks because they're also pieces of shit. There you go. What? Don't I tell you, never get the first one? You want a Cybertruck? Get a Cybertruck in 5 years. Get a Cybertruck in 5 years after all of the idiots who wanted to be early adopters and look at my crazy car. What did I do? That's a combustion engine. What is a Cybertruck that won't turn over sound like? Just that it? Just like the key clicking? I don't know. What is this next thing here? Oh, today in Rich People News. Let's do the segment that is sweeping the nation. Today in Rich People News. I don't even know what this is. What is this? What is this Today in Rich People News story about? What is this? I didn't put the headline to the story. I just put Today in Rich People News, and now I don't know. You know what? I'm not interested. We're going to move on. I don't care about Today in Rich People News. Today in Rich People News. It's good to be rich. Moving on. Cannes Film Festival. Let's talk about the Cannes Film Festival. Hooray for Hollywood. Is it Cannes or is it Cannes? Big fancy. Here's what, if you don't know what Cannes is, I'm sure you've heard of it, but maybe people don't really know what goes on over there. Here's what Cannes is. Cannes is a yearly gathering of film distributors. Not filmmakers, not directors and actors and stars, although those are the people that we all pay attention to Cannes for. Cannes is about people who distribute films around the globe. Chinese film rights, European film rights, the American buyers, platforms, studios, people who take a finished product of a film and then slap their name on it and, make it a big hit. That's what Cannes is. So if you've got a movie, you go to Cannes and hopefully you get entered. And then all of these people, these distributors from around the globe, they come and they bid on your film. So Cannes is a big deal in that all of the big movies that, will come out in the next year will all have been there and made their debut there. But one of, actually, no, we won't do that. We'll talk about that one next. I want to talk about some of the films that are at Cannes, the buzziest films, if you will, the buzziest films and packages for sale at Cannes. All right, so let's see here. What's the first one? Some of these were interesting, I thought. Pam Anderson. Apparently they're making Pam Anderson into a movie star. They think that it's been long enough and that she can come back. All right, the first one. We'll talk about this now. You know what? We'll skip over it. We'll skip over it because we are going to talk about it. There's a movie called Bird, starring Barry Keoghan. Keoghan? I don't know. I don't care. That sounds like a stupid movie. The Apprentice. Okay, so here you go. This is a movie that's being bid on. The Apprentice is at Cannes. Stars Sebastian Stan, stars Jeremy Strong, and Maria Bakalova. Okay? Now, what is The Apprentice? The Apprentice is the story of young Donald Trump under the tutelage of the extremely evil Roy Cohn. That's right, The Apprentice. This sounds amazing. Sebastian Stan, The Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan. Tommy from Pam and Tommy, Sebastian Stan, one of the finest of the Marvel actors, I believe. He is going to be playing a young 30-ish Donald Trump on his way up, learning from the, I say it again, evil Roy Cohn. Jeremy Strong is going to play Roy Cohn. Jeremy Strong, who was Roy Cohn? Roy Cohn was Joe McCarthy's attorney. Do you remember the House Un-American? You know who Senator Joe McCarthy was? You remember what a piece of shit he was? Yeah, well, his attorney was Roy Cohn. The guy sitting next to him, the guy that like had all of these awful, awful ways to destroy people's lives by putting them on blacklists and naming them publicly. That was all Roy Cohn. Roy Cohn ruined a lot of people's lives. He's an incredibly evil man who died painfully after a long bout with AIDS. Yeah, he got AIDS. Roy Cohn got AIDS and died, and it was a terrible disease, but it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. So anyway, that's the guy. That's Donald Trump's mentor. That's the guy who took Donald Trump under his wing. That's what The Apprentice is about. Sebastian Stan and Jeremy Strong. All right, why buyers care? I'll give you a little bit of information about this. Marvel hero Stan, Sebastian Stan, starring as a young Trump, navigating a Faustian deal with the treacherous lawyer Roy Cohn. It's plenty of incentive to get us excited. Baklava plays Ivana. I don't know who Maria Bakalova is. I don't know who that is. She plays Ivana, sorry. Then it goes on to say, take our money and let's not discount the admired director Abbasi, whose Holy Spider played. Anyway, I want to see that. That looks really good. Paul Schrader's got a new film with Richard Gere and Uma Thurman called, what's it called? Oh, Canada. Paul Schrader, it's interesting because I thought he was like, I thought he got Me Too'd. Well, he's at Cam. What else do we have here? The Surfer. Here's an interesting one. The Surfer is another Nicolas Cage movie. We were talking about Nicolas Cage movies and how he's just doing a whole bunch. Here's one that's got a pretty interesting pairing. Julian McMahon. He's in this with Julian McMahon. Julian McMahon years ago was the star of a TV show called Nip Tuck. Handsome Australian guy. I thought for sure that he was going to be, a big movie star. He ain't done nothing until this. The Surfer, starring Nicolas Cage and Julian McMahon. Here's what it says. In a wildly unpredictable finished film market, genre films may be the only safe bet. Cage has become a virtuoso for films of this budget level. And then they give the examples of Pig and Mandy. Remember the other day, I told you that of all those stupid-ass Nicolas Cage movies that he did to pay off his IRS debt or whatever it was, that Pig and Mandy are legitimately good films. Also good. They're throwing him a little bone on those here. Proving that he's become a virtuoso for films of this budget level, like Pig and Mandy. And this latest thriller sees him as a dad looking for revenge against a local pack of thugs who lay claim to a secluded beach where he played as a child. All right. Pissed off dad Nick Cage. The Surfer. What else do we have? All right, that's here it is. This is the Pam Anderson one. This is a legit film that is putting Pam Anderson in the lead in a legitimate acting role. And there are people saying Oscar buzz for Pam Anderson. The film is called The Last Showgirl. Why is it getting this kind of buzz? Well, because just like Sofia Coppola, this one's directed by Gia Coppola, who is another, but whatever, Coppola name. It's a serious movie. The Last Showgirl stars Pamela Anderson, Jamie Lee Curtis, Billy Lord, Dave Bautista, and Brenda Song. It's Anderson. It says here, Anderson is in a renaissance mode after her 2023 Netflix documentary recontextualized her bombshell legacy and exploitation at the hands of men and Hollywood. CAA will be on the ground showing footage from this Coppola project, which is already earmarked as a breakout performance for Pam. She plays the titular showgirl at a career crossroads when her 30-year Las Vegas review closes abruptly. Yeah. All right. Very good. It's another interesting one. All right. Here's another one that I think is interesting. This one stars Colin Farrell and Ben Stiller. It's called Belly of the Beast. Here's why it's interesting. It tells the true story of Norman Mailer and Jack Henry Abbott. Norman Mailer is, of course, a writer. We know him. He's crazy. Executioners. A bunch of songs. Look, I don't have time to give you a tutorial on Norman Mailer. Norman Mailer was a crazy man as well. And Jack Henry Abbott was a dude who was in prison his whole life who could actually write. And Norman Mailer discovered him in prison, and Norman Mailer fought to get him out of jail. That character is going to be played by Colin Farrell. Ben Stiller is playing Norman Mailer. Norman Mailer fought to get him out of jail and was going to mentor this dude and teach him how to write because he was such a great writer. And he had written a book. He had written his first book, and it became a massive hit, right? But then it ended badly when 6 weeks after Norman Mailer gets this dude released from prison, he murders somebody in an alley. And so it was like, anyway, it's called Belly of the Beast. And that sounds like a very interesting movie. So there you go. There's a couple of them at Cannes. Now, the big movie at Cannes that I wanted to talk about here because the trailer has been released. So let's watch this. This is another Coppola. We've talked about Sofia Coppola today. We've talked about Gia Coppola today. Well, now let's talk about the top of the heap there. Let's talk about Francis Ford. Francis Ford Coppola, of course, of Godfather fame. Great directors in American history. At least that's what they'll have us believe. I mean, I agree. Coppola's great. My God, Coppola's I don't think he's as good as Spielberg or Scorsese or Kubrick, but he's certainly in the conversation to fill out my top 5. So here's Francis Ford Coppola. This is the first look at his new movie. Now, this is the most highly anticipated film in all of Cannes. It's called Megapolis. It's Francis Ford Coppola began working on this film in 1983 and then just got distracted. He resurrected it about 10 years ago, financed it himself. He wanted to have complete and total control over this film. Upwards of $150 million out of Francis Ford Coppola's own pocket went to get this movie filmed. And now he's taking it to Cannes, and he wants to, get somebody to come in and partner up with them and take it to, world distribution. Here's the premise. Again, he's been working on this since 1983. So it takes place in a near future New York City-like place. I assume it's New York, but I don't think they ever say it. There has been some cataclysmic disaster, which allows for the opportunity to remake New York, to remake it. This is something very similar to what happened in Chicago. Chicago was a growing, thriving city, and then the Great Chicago Fire happened and everything burned down, and they had an opportunity to remake it from scratch. So that's kind of the inspiration for this Megapolis. It stars Adam Driver. Now, this is where it gets a little bit weird. It stars Adam Driver as an architect, as a young architect who wants to rebuild New York, who wants to create it into this, amazing Dubai-like place. But he's also got like superpowers. He's got an ability to stop time or something. I don't know. It's been talked about for years, and this trailer is out now. So let's give this a look. This is the first trailer that has been released for the new Francis Ford Coppola film. Is this gonna save Hollywood? Is this gonna be the movie that everybody wins all the awards next year? Or is this going to be a massive bomb and Francis Ford Coppola is going to be out $150 million of his own bucks? Here you go, the new trailer for
When does an empire die? Does it collapse in one terrible moment? No. But there comes a time when its people no longer believe in it.
Don't let the now destroy the forever.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, welcome.
Is this society, is this way we're living, the only one that's available to us?
We are taking our city back.
And when we ask these questions, when there's a dialogue about them, that basically is a utopia.
I mean, come on. That looks pretty great. That looks pretty great. I don't know what it's about, but it looks pretty great. And because it's Francis Ford Coppola, I'll be there. And when I say be there, when it comes streaming on my TV, because I don't go to movie theaters anymore. Anyway, that's the big, hotly anticipated. I think it's been entered into the Palme d'Or competition, which is the overall best film at Cannes. And most people, at least the betting sites, they believe it's going to win. That's the one. Let's see, what else do we have to do here? I want to play this. Okay, this isn't something that I was necessarily going to do, but can I just show something? We've been talking about the relationships between men and women and this dynamic that, men are always awful and we're the worst and, men are monsters. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about the TikTok phenomenon, the question that girls are asking on TikTok. If you were lost in the woods, would you feel safer encountering a man or a bear? Right? That question, we talked about that and how stupid it is and just how I'm just so sick. Look, men are, first of all, if you were asking me flat out, who's better at life, men or women, I would absolutely tell you women. Women are they seem more conscientious. They seem more compassionate. They have that mothering thing. We don't have life without women. So yeah, I'm going to default and say women are probably better than men. Men start wars. We're mean. We're infants. It's ugh. But in the reality of every day-to-day life, there's a lot of times where there's some awful women out there who, are not nearly as good as the men who are in their lives. People are bad on an individual basis. But if we're talking about genetically speaking, who is probably the more godlike of the genders, I would say that would be the female. That would be the woman. Now, having said that, I want to show you something that I saw this on Twitter today. Let's just show this. I've got a 15-year-old son. I got a 15-year-old son who dates and has girlfriends, and he's got a lot of questions. And we do. And look, I am blessed to have the kind of relationship with my 15-year-old son that I do, where he can't ask me anything about that stuff. Like, he can tell me exactly what's going on. It's like, yeah, I don't know, I kind of like her, but then I also like, I get the dirt. And I'm not going to share any of it because that's not how it's done. I almost just told a scenario that he told me over the weekend and I had to stop myself. So, let me show you this. All right. So this is some girl on Twitter today. Lovely girl, beautiful girl. We should all be lucky enough to go home with a beautiful woman like this. Beautiful young lady. Oh, if I was 30 years younger. But let's just listen to this nonsense, okay? Here's what we men have to deal with. This is what we have to try and figure out. This is life's romantic jigsaw puzzle that if we don't solve and if we get it wrong, we could end up in handcuffs.
Okay, I am the problem. I went on a date with this guy and he was like, it's getting late. Do you want to come back to my place? And I was like, sure, but I'm not going to sleep with you. Like, that's not happening. And he was like, that's totally fine. Just come over. And I was like, cool. So I go to his place. He respects my wishes. He's so nice. He cuddles me all night. And I'm like, are you gay? Like, what? And like, I just wanted him to like try. And then for me to be like, no, you know what I mean? I wasn't going to sleep with him. Now I feel ugly. This is what...
Okay. So that's what I've got to prepare my 15-year-old to go out and deal with. I mean, I don't even really have a rant on that. I think that just says it all. And if I say something like, why'd you go home with him? Why did you go home with him? Why did you go to his place? What was that about? Why you said, okay, but we're not going to have sex. And he said, that's fine. I just want to spend time with you. We'll hang out. And they cuddled. And she said it was really nice. Then she called him gay because he didn't do exactly. She called him gay Because what, he didn't try and rape her? I don't know. As a guy, I'm trying to. She told him no. She told him no. It's not going to happen. But I'll come back anyway. So that's like a really complicated signal that. And let's be honest, most guys, like a guy that she'd be with, that she'd probably pick up in a bar or something, he's a dumb fuck. He's like a dumb meathead. Am I getting laid or what? He's like that idiot. So you start sending mixed signals like this, you know what you're going to get with these ridiculous individuals. Barney says she should feel ugly. Well, I don't know why she would feel ugly. She's just out there. She's just being thirsty. She's looking for people to go, you're beautiful. Like, what is she looking for in the responses there? Baby, if I'd have taken you home and you said no, I'd totally have railed you. I'd have just pestered you for the next couple hours until you felt so emotionally exhausted from the give and take that you just gave in and spread your legs. That's how I would have done it. And then that guy gets raped or arrested, and then he's raped in prison. There's a lot of mixed messaging with women. There is no unified female perspective. And there never has been, I suppose. I mean, you can say that, like, in the 70s, you had Gloria Steinem, but she only represents, she didn't represent every female point of view. It's very, very confusing. The Me Too, Louis C.K. has to lose $50 million in a television contract and a couple of movie deals. He has to go through all of that because he pulled his dick out around a bunch of comedians that were all goofing off and drunk. But then we have these girls, girls like this. By the way, have you seen this other girl? There's this other girl on Twitter that I can't stand. I just talk about a punchable face, but you can't do that because men can't raise their hands to girls. And that's one of my core beliefs. But this girl, she's always she's got like big boobs and she's really pretty. But her whole thing is every day she sends another video out that says, what would you do if I sat next to you? It's like, what is the message here? Are we supposed to be looking at your tits? Because seriously, look at what you're wearing. What would you do if I sat next? I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this for my 15-year-old son, who, hopefully he's going to be a gentleman anyway. But geez Louise, man, cards are stacked against guys. Girls are giving out mixed messages. And none of this that I've said takes anything away from the actual real issue of predators who've been allowed to run free in our world for the last 60 years. But those people aren't out there anymore. Nobody's doing that shit anymore. That stuff has been established, the casting couch kind of thing. I mean, I'm sure there's still dudes trying to get away with it, but they'll get caught and we'll get, they get in trouble now for that. She called him gay. She completely, not that there's anything wrong with that, but she impugned his sense of masculinity because she asked him not to make a move and he didn't make a move. And then she doesn't understand why he didn't make a move. I don't get it. Hugh says, ugh, why is she playing games? People just need to be honest. He's the opposite of Me Too. Well, right, but when you are the opposite of Me Too, you get called gay. You get called gay and then virally humiliated. Although, fair enough, she didn't give out his name or anything like that. But she was acting like, am I the one that's wrong here? Yeah, you're the one who's wrong. You know what you could have done? You could have made the move and everything would have been fine. If you had been tired of him, just cuddling you like he promised, like you demanded, if you'd gotten tired of that and you wanted a little something more, you could have just turned around and you could have initiated yourself and then we'd have gone from there. But you didn't. Instead, you just laid there and got angry because he didn't try to physically take you against your will. Try explaining that to a 15-year-old. Boy, oh boy. Barney says she admits she's the problem, but still thinks he is wrong. I've got an 18-year-old dealing with this nonsense. Ross says, I'm sure that scenario didn't even happen. And you know what? That's the secret sauce, Ross. Ross is probably right. We don't know. But that doesn't really matter for this conversation that we're having, because I think we all understand that scenario probably has happened somewhere in the world, whether or not that's real or not. I think I've been in situations where I've been told no, and you just spend the whole night doing that, laying there cuddling, maybe some kissing if you're lucky, but nothing else. Blah. I've had to go through it. But then again, I'm not attractive. And I think that these rules, they're different for people who look like me and for people who are very handsome. I think guys who are very handsome get whatever they want whenever they want with girls, because girls are, sorry to say it, you're every bit as slutty as men. See, look at me being empowering to females. Women want to fuck just as much as men. I know this because I was screamed it for 15 years by both my partner Kelly and Sybil live on the air. You people should know this. Women are just as horny as men. It's just that there's a power dynamic, at least the way society has drawn things up. There is a perceived power dynamic that men are the ones who always have to make the first move and all of that stuff. And Ross says now she's got her wish because people are giving her attention. Well, I don't know. We're giving her a little attention, but we're not exactly the Tonight Show. Okay, so here's something else I want to talk about. We'll go out with this. Another piece of video that we'll watch. It's really great. I was talking, I start the show off by saying this is the show for a certain kind of people, 70% normals, right? We're the people in the middle. Some of us vote right, some of us vote left, but for the most part, we can get along with people. We've never been kicked off an airplane, arrested in a Target, and we're still invited to family Christmas. So that's who this show is for. Bill Maher, I was telling you this earlier. He had made some statement recently about how his new Club Random podcast is that. It's that. This is not, we're not doing crazy conspiracy theories. We're just having real conversations about how batshit everything is. He described his show Club Random as being for the normals, which I kind of went, okay, that's exactly what I'm doing. Now, Bill Maher is back in my life because I used to love Politically Incorrect. I used to watch it every night, and I used to look forward to Friday nights, the Bill Maher show on HBO. But about 8 years or so ago, I stopped watching Bill Maher. I couldn't take it. I didn't like the politics. It was around this time when I had this, I'm not doing politics publicly anymore. I had this sort of epiphany where I was just like, this is just nonsense. And I stopped watching Bill Maher. But recently, I've started watching him again, not his HBO Friday night show, but I have been watching Club Random, which is his podcast that he does a couple times a week. And it's just him sitting there with a celebrity. It's Joe Rogan. It's the exact same thing as Joe Rogan. So if you're thinking like, what kind of podcast is it? It's Joe Rogan. If you know what the format of the Joe Rogan podcast is, Joe Rogan talking to a very interesting guest about really deep and heavy subjects. That's basically what Club Random has been. Except Bill Maher gets really good guests. Like Bill Maher gets people that you don't really hear open up this way. Joe Rogan, what Joe Rogan gets are Joe Rogan's friends and people in the Joe Rogan universe. And then like a history professor from the University of Saskatchewan who blows up and is a viral sensation. But like I saw Bill Maher sit down with Jerry Seinfeld for an hour and a half and just, open up that can of worms about everything. That was interesting. Bigger stars. Actually, what I should say is not necessarily bigger stars than Joe Rogan, but stars that I'm more interested in. I don't want to hear about a dude who lived in the Rocky Mountains and lived off like, bugs and bear meat for 10 years. That guy, I don't need to spend an hour and a half with him. Joe going, cool, man. I don't need that. But it's a very similar show. And I think it's better. I think it's just better because the content is better. But I have not been a Bill Maher guy. I thought he went way too liberal. I was just like, ugh, I'm so tired of all of this. Why do all of my entertainers need to tell me how they voted? Why is this a thing? But he's changed. He has definitely changed. He's become sort of a voice for the moderate. He had a conversation yesterday with Bill Burr. Bill Burr sat down with him for the 2 hours or whatever it is that they do in Club Random. And I got to watch a good chunk of it. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I got about a half hour of it left. And Bill Maher, I think, Bill Burr, I should say, I think he's one of the best comedians out there working. He's tremendous. And I like him a lot. Bill Burr used to be on our show all the time. Before Bill Burr became Bill Burr was just a comedian who traveled the country and did a whole bunch of stuff with DJs. And I like to think that I got to know him a little bit. And he's a good guy. Very funny, too. So good. So talented. So Bill Maher sits down with Bill Burr. And they got into it. They got into it about a whole bunch of stuff. First of all, from the very beginning, now you have to understand that these two guys are friends. They know each other. They've known each other for years. And a little backstory is that Bill Maher had just last week done 2 hours with Bill Burr. He did some podcast with Bill Burr last week. So now this week, Bill Burr is coming on to do Bill Maher's. And it's a bit contentious from the beginning. Like Bill Burr is really taking shots at Bill Maher. Like he's really slicing them down throughout this whole conversation. But this was particularly interesting. This is on the subject of the college campus protests. And a lot of people are saying that Bill Burr owned Bill Maher on this. One of the reasons Bill Burr was trending earlier today and yesterday was because they're like, Bill Burr totally owns Bill Maher. And Bill Burr is funny and the one-liners are funny, but he doesn't totally own Bill Maher on this subject. I mean, he knocks Bill Maher down a few pegs when Bill Maher gets a little preachy and pretentious. But on the college campus issue, you kidding me? He didn't own him on this. So let's watch it. This is a back and forth. This is a very contentious back and forth between Bill Maher and Bill Burr on Bill Maher's Club Random podcast. It dropped yesterday. It's trending now. So here it is. Let's listen to this. This is pretty good.
With the kids demonstrating for Hamas, they are in with the terrorists.
They were for the Palestinians.
With the kids demonstrating for Hamas, they are in with the terrorists.
They were for the Palestinians.
Well, it's sort of the same cause. Why, are you?
I'm on the side of the kids.
Yeah, that's easy to say. You know, no one wants to see kids dead. This is a war.
That was very brave of you to say that.
This is a war. No, I'm the one who's actually brave on this.
Pat yourself on the back.
It's easy to say I'm for the kids. Who's not for the kids?
Well,
it comes down to real hard-nosed decisions. Like a country.
Stop talking like you're a general.
A country got attacked. Israel got attacked.
I'm not saying that they didn't have a right to go back. I'm just sitting there going like, how do I look at
We're the only country in the world that they get attacked, and then as soon as they counterattack, it's like, well, we got to stop this shit now. Don't attack them. There's a very simple solution to all this problem in the Middle East. Stop attacking Israel.
Hey, you
Stop
just solved
attacking
it.
Israel.
You just solved it.
I actually
did. There you
did.
go. That's fantastic.
Anyway.
All right.
We don't need to get onto that.
Let's go to Russia and the Ukraine. How do you solve that one, Bill? Let me hear your hard-nosed decision about that. Well, let me ask you a question. How is war still legal? With all this shit that's been canceled.
Legal.
Why is that still fucking legal?
Would you like a real answer to that? Because for something to be illegal, you have to have the capacity to enforce it. And you can't enforce against war, or else you have to go to war with the country that's going to war. And we don't want to go to war with Russia over Ukraine. What would be the sense of making it illegal? Oh, that's really going to stop Putin. No. To stop people from going to war, you have to also put boots.
Can't sit down and talk it out. Why can't Putin do a podcast with the head guy? Like, you just solved the Middle East on a podcast. Why can't they solve what they're doing on a podcast?
This is why this is not your thing.
Make some hard-nosed decisions. It's not your thing. It's what you.
It is my thing.
It isn't your thing.
This is not your thing.
You're like that guy that has a fantasy football team and thinks he's a fucking GM.
No.
That's exactly what it is. Like, why am I fucking listening to you like you've done something? What have you done in Washington?
All right, there you go. That's Bill Burr and Bill Maher. By the way, I got cut off there, but what he said was, what have you done in Washington? It's a really good interview. They go back and forth the whole time on any number of issues. Bill Maher is a good interviewer, and Bill Burr is a pretty open book about all the things that he believes. Pretty good. That's the new Club Random. Bill Maher versus Bill Burr. They get into it. Weird from the beginning. I don't know if you guys want to check it out. It's on YouTube, but you'll notice from the very beginning, it seems a little contentious, a little awkward. But again, context of the whole thing is that they're friends and nobody's forcing anybody to be there. They're just two guys hanging out with each other, helping one another on their podcasts. Ross Rubio says Burr is out of his realm when it comes to social issues, and he isn't quite as smart as Maher, unfortunately. Let's see here. Yeah, all right, that's it. I ain't got nothing else. Hey, guys, we're done. That's the show for today. That's it. I ain't got nothing else. Today was a light, fun show. Anything new happen? Let me see. I'll jump on over. Let's see. Yeah, still the damn Trump trial. This is good. What? What? Nah, never mind. I got nothing else. Hey guys, we'll see you back here tomorrow, okay? Like, follow, subscribe, share, promote, help, tip, all of that stuff. Drop a little something. Be tomorrow's executive producer. I haven't had one in the past couple of days, so we're looking forward to get back into that. Executive producer. Big tipper of the day gets to be the executive producer. Anything else? Is there anything else? Got to take the dog out for a walk now. We're going to go back by the house where the dog was on the roof at 7:45 this morning. Dog was on a roof at 7:45 this morning. I can't explain it. All right, guys, I love you. The stream of consciousness is now done. I can't talk. I couldn't say another word if you paid me.